Marhaba, that's hello in Arabic. I'm Chef Kamal and you're cooking with Kamal Lebanese style. I'm going to show you the way that I like to prepare tangy beef rolls, or Burak bil Lahm as we call it in Arabic. Now we can also make these with feta cheese filling, chicken, or ground lamb. The procedure and the recipe remain the same. The only thing is the fillings would change. So what I'm going to do is just show you the procedure. Now, the first thing you want to do before you start making these is you want to prepare everything in advance. The last thing you want to do is open up the box of Fillo so it's not drying while you're preparing the meat filling. Now these little appetizers, they're ideal because you can serve them as just snacks, you can serve them when friends come over, and you can make them in advance and freeze them and then bring them to room temperature before baking them. So you can actually make a bunch of them and put them away long before you even need them. So that makes these ideal for entertaining. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to take a sheet of Fillo. Now what we like to do is I always start brushing from the corners and the edges, and that sort of secures the piece of Fillo in place. And it's also because these are a little more exposed, the corners and the edges, they're going to dry out first. So you sort of want to take your brush. Now I'm using clarified butter. You can use just melted unsalted butter, but I prefer to use the clarified butter because once you've removed the milk solids and all the dairy and the moisture, you have a pure butter fat, which has a higher smoke point, which is going to give you a butter, a more buttery, sort of a cleaner flavor. So I sort of use the clarified butter for everything. So that's one sheet. Now this is going to be two sheets, one directly on top of the other. So you see it's very easy to handle. You just sort of place it right on top. Now I'm going to cover my Fillo because I don't want it to dry out while I'm working. And now I'm just going to go ahead and brush this again. Okay. Now we have two sheets directly over one another. I'm just going to take a knife. I'm going to cut it directly down the center. We want to cut these into 6 equal pieces. So I'm just going to do a cut from left to right here and one right about there. It's okay if they're not perfectly exact. They just, you want it to be as close as you can get it. Now I'm going to put a teaspoon of this meat filling right at the base of each of these pieces of Fillo. Just going to sort of spread it out a little bit. See, a teaspoon it's a perfect little portion for the bite. Now you see I'm putting it at the base over here to the far left and the far right because this is where I cut. So this is a perfect line so that when I roll these towards the top, I'm going to be rolling towards that line. Here's another one. Okay, now we've got them filled. So the next thing we want to do is we're just going to put a couple of pine nuts, a couple of toasted pine nuts on each one. Now you can put more pine nuts if you'd like, that's up to you. I just like to put a couple of pine nuts in each. Now this, you do the same thing if you're doing this with the feta cheese. You would put the feta cheese at the end here, and then ground lamb or ground chicken would be the same procedure. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we've got all our filling in. You just take the sides, see, and you fold this over. So each roll is going to be about a 2.5 inch length. I like to fold them. I fold all of these over first because then it's like I do this step and then the next step will be rolling them. See, like if it tore a bit, it's no problem. Just go ahead and fold it over. It's really easy to handle. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be nervous about it. Just go ahead and fold it over. Now I just turn these each a little bit in that direction. Here you go. You just roll towards the top. Very easy. These are wonderful, and when they bake, the actual layers just crisp up, and when you bite into them, they're just crispy layers of Fillo, and this particular one will have the pomegranate beef, so it's a little tangy with the pine nut, and they're absolutely delicious. Look at that, so easy. Now you could take them now and put them on a tray with plastic wrap and pop them in the freezer for several hours, and then just put them in an airtight container. Now what you need to do, I just dip my fingers, you can use your brush, but I just use my fingers. You need to take this and completely surround the outer edges with butter. Completely surround the phyllo on the outside with butter, because this is what's going to preserve them. So that if you do put them in the freezer and you're going to bake them another time, they won't crack. This sort of seals the moisture in. So look at that. You could use the brush. I just find it easier to use my fingers. There you go. So easy. Okay, let's do another. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. For more information on this recipe and my cookbook, Classic Lebanese Cuisine, please visit us at cookingwithkamal.com. I hope you enjoy preparing these recipes with your friends and family. As we say in Arabic, sahtain, double help.